ATA for threatening to uninvite both my mom and dad my college graduation after they tried to force me to choose between them, used me as their messenger for weeks, and nearly ruined the most important day of my academic life over their petty relationship drama. I never imagined I'd be here, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet, but I've completely run out of options. In exactly 9 days, I'm supposed to be walking across a stage in my cap and gown, celebrating 4 grueling years of late nights, stress-induced breakdowns, and more instant ramen than any human should consume. Instead, I'm trapped in the middle of a war zone between my parents, being forced to choose sides in a battle I never signed up for. Let me start from the beginning. I'm 21F, and I completed my university degree last year. However, due to some financial complications, I'm only officially graduating now. Even though I had a full scholarship, there was an unexpected balance that needed to be paid before the university would release my degree and allow me to participate in the graduation ceremony. This last-minute financial hurdle almost crushed my dreams completely. When I approached my father about helping with this final payment, he flat out refused. Not because he couldn't afford it, he now has a stable job after years of informal employment, but because he wanted the university to properly explain why I needed to pay anything when I had a scholarship. While I understand his principle, time was running out. If the payment wasn't made immediately, my graduation would be delayed by another entire year. My grandmother, seeing my distress, stepped in and paid the outstanding amount. She's always been my rock, quietly supporting me through every phase of my education. I'm the first person in my immediate family to graduate from university, so this ceremony means everything to her. She might never get to see another family member graduate, making her presence at this event particularly meaningful. Now here's where everything implodes. Graduates only receive 2 guest tickets for the ceremony. Naturally, these would go to my parents. However, my mother sent my father a text message stating that he wasn't welcome at the ceremony and that she would be inviting my grandmother instead. When my father received this message, rather than addressing it with my mother directly, he showed me the text and asked for my opinion. I immediately felt my stomach drop. "Please, don't involve me in this," I begged him. "This is between you and Mom. You need to talk to her directly." But he refused, insisting that if I wanted him at my graduation, I would need to be the one to speak to my mother about it. According to him, it's your problem now. Just to give you some context about their relationship, my parents have this complicated on-again, off-again dynamic that I've never fully understood and, frankly, never wanted to understand. It's their business, not mine. According to my father, their relationship has been over for quite some time, though my mother disagrees with this assessment. A few months ago, my father found himself a new girlfriend and has been spending weekends at her place, which has naturally upset my mother tremendously. While I'm unhappy about their current situation, I've done everything in my power to stay out of it. I refuse to be their referee or mediator. But now, with my graduation approaching, I'm being forcibly dragged into the center of their drama, and I genuinely don't know what to do. I reluctantly approached my mother about the text she sent, though I found it difficult given that my grandmother was the one who made my graduation possible in the first place. Before I could even properly explain why I was coming to her, my mother cut me off, saying, "If your father has a problem, he can speak to me himself." And just like that, I was back at square one. Every day that passes brings us closer to the ceremony, and I'm at a complete loss. If I push for my father to attend, I feel like I'm disrespecting my grandmother who actually paid for me to graduate. If I agree with my mother's decision, my father will view it as me taking her side. I'm trapped in an impossible situation where any decision I make will be seen as choosing one parent over the other. What makes this whole situation even more frustrating is that neither of them seems to understand or care about how their behavior is affecting me. This should be one of the proudest moments of my life, a celebration of my hard work and perseverance. Instead, it's becoming a battleground for their unresolved issues, and I'm the unwilling soldier caught in the crossfire. Yesterday, I tried once more to talk to my father about the situation. I explained that my mother probably wanted my grandmother to attend because she was the one who came through financially when he wouldn't. His response shocked me. He claimed he wasn't properly given a chance to pay and, even more surprisingly, stated that he doesn't believe my grandmother actually paid the money at all. How could he think that? Does he believe I'm lying about who helped me? The university certainly didn't waive the fee out of the goodness of their hearts. Someone paid it, and that someone was my grandmother. I also tried explaining to him that time was of the essence. The payment needed to be made immediately to avoid delaying my graduation by another year. But he seemed either unable or unwilling to grasp this concept. In his mind, principle was more important than practicality, even if it meant potentially derailing his daughter's future. After this frustrating conversation with my father, I decided to show my mother this post and read some of the comments to her. Some people advised against involving her like this, but I knew she wouldn't be upset. She's always encouraging me to stop bottling things up and talk about my problems. I was right. She wasn't angry, though she was initially defensive. She apologized for the way she handled the situation, but stood firm in her position. She explained that her text wasn't sent out of pettiness, but from genuine anger about my father's lack of financial contribution to my education throughout my life. According to her, she paid for my primary school tuition with help from exemptions and my grandmother. During secondary school, I received a bursary, and the same for university. Additionally, she was the one who filled out all the applications for these financial aids. To be fair to my father, he wasn't a deadbeat. For most of my school years, he wasn't formally employed and relied on odd jobs. He walked me to school every day since I was in 4th grade and handled all household chores, shopping, repairs, and renovations. His contributions were significant, just not financial. My mother was adamant about my grandmother attending the ceremony, going so far as to offer to give up her own seat and wait outside if my father insisted on going. When she communicated this to him, their interaction was painfully characteristic of their entire relationship. They were literally in the same room, but spoke through me like I was some kind of human telephone. "Did you ask your father if he's going to your graduation?" My mother asked me while my father was right there. I repeated her question to him, feeling utterly ridiculous. "You already decided that I'm not going," he replied bitterly. "That doesn't matter." "I'm asking you now," my mother countered. "That's not what your message said." "Do you need me to read it to you?" he responded sarcastically. "But I'm asking you now if you're going to go or not." My mother is definitely going, so if you're also going, then I'll have to stay outside. At this point, my father simply walked away, muttering, "You already decided I'm not going." My mother and I looked at each other in complete exasperation. I've tried speaking to my dad a couple more times since then, but I've gotten nowhere. I'm not going to beg him to attend my graduation. Honestly, I'm starting to feel like he doesn't really care whether he comes or not. He seems to have adopted an "if I go, that's okay, but if I don't go, that's also okay" attitude, which hurts more than I care to admit. It feels like he has better things to do and has shifted his priorities elsewhere. His nonchalance stands in stark contrast to my mother's excitement about the whole event. She's been shopping for the perfect outfit, asking about what time we need to leave, and generally treating this like the momentous occasion it should be. In light of all this, I've decided to let things run their course. I'm done trying to mediate their childish behavior. It'll work itself out one way or another, and I'm washing my hands of the entire situation. I refuse to let their drama overshadow what should be a celebration of my achievement. As graduation day approached, my father started making snide comments about not being allowed to go. I reminded him that my mother had offered to give up her seat for him, but he wasn't interested in attending with my grandmother while my mother waited outside. It seemed like he was more interested in being the victim than actually seeing me graduate. The night before the ceremony, everything came to a head. My grandmother, who had been looking forward to attending, suddenly decided not to go. She wasn't feeling well, but I suspect she also didn't want to be the reason my mother couldn't attend. With my grandmother stepping aside, it was decided that both my parents would come to the ceremony. Graduation day itself was cold and rainy, which didn't help the nasty cold I'd caught in the days leading up. I barely slept the night before, and my hair was a disaster thanks to the humidity. But despite everything, I made it through the ceremony. My parents, thankfully, remained civil with each other and barely interacted, a small miracle in itself. Ironically, the university didn't even check tickets at the venue, meaning we could have brought additional guests if we'd known in advance. All that drama for nothing. As soon as we got home, I collapsed into bed and slept for most of the weekend, physically and emotionally drained from the whole ordeal. Now that it's all over, I'm left wondering if I could have handled things differently. Should I have put my foot down earlier? Should I have threatened to uninvite both of them if they couldn't behave like adults? Or should I have just eloped with my degree and avoided the ceremony altogether? I'm the first in my family to graduate from university. This should have been a day of unmitigated celebration, a milestone that everyone could share and without politics or drama. Instead, it became a battleground for my parents' unresolved issues, with me caught in the crossfire. The most frustrating part is that neither of them seems to realize how their behavior affected me. This wasn't about them. It was about me and my accomplishment. Yet somehow, like so many other moments in my life, it became all about their relationship and their feelings. I'm not sure what happens from here. My father's relationship with his girlfriend apparently ended recently, though I don't know the details, nor do I want to. I harbor no illusions that my parents' relationship will suddenly improve. Their issues run deep, and I've accepted that I may always be navigating the complicated waters of their animosity. What I do know is that I'm done being their messenger. I'm done translating their feelings to each other when they're literally in the same room. I'm done being the bridge they burn every time they want to hurt each other. I'm a daughter, not a diplomatic channel, and it's time they recognize that. So, internet strangers, am I wrong for feeling resentful? Am I the bad person for wishing they could have set aside their differences for just one day, my day? Should I have been more understanding of their complicated relationship, or was I right to expect more from them as parents? I genuinely don't know anymore. All I know is that I have my degree, I survived the ceremony, and I never have to go through another graduation with them again. Until I decide to pursue my master's degree, that is. But that's a problem for future me. Present me just wants to know if I'm justified in my frustration, or if I need to adjust my expectations. And most importantly, how do I move forward from here? How do I establish boundaries with parents who see me as an extension of their relationship rather than as an individual with my own life and feelings? Because graduation may be over, but I know this won't be the last time I'm caught between them. For now, I'm focusing on celebrating my achievement in my own way. I'm proud of myself for persevering through not just the academic challenges, but the familial ones as well. No matter what happens with my parents, no one can take away what I've accomplished. And maybe that's the most important lesson I've learned through all of this, that ultimately, my achievements are my own, independent of the drama that surrounds them.